particular conversation. Let me introduce my team here. So we have Dr. Nihar Amonkar. He is the Director of School of Management. So you want to say hi to all of you?
Hi, Akhil. Thanks for having me here, and I look forward to a very pleasant conversation with you.
Thank you so much, sir. And so we have Dr. Rima Bali here, who is the Dean for School of Management. Ma'am, if you want to say hi to all the audience here.
Everyone, good morning. Thank you, Akhil. We look forward to a great conversation over the next few minutes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And last but not the least, my name is Akhil Damodar. I'm the Dean for Undergrad Business School. So let me start the conversation. So let me start with a note here that, if you look at the management education system right now, so to understand the premise of preparing the future leaders, I think we have to somehow understand what happened in the last 2 decades in terms of the business, because ultimately, this is a business which runs us. I mean, it's like a symbiotic relation between both of them. So look at the last 20 years, a lot has changed. I mean, Dr. Nihan, Dr. Rima, I mean, you may agree with me on this part that this is the first time in the last 2 decades that we can't even predict what's going to happen in the next 5 years. The whole forecast, the whole premise of how big the thinker is. I mean, they're all getting disturbed into the fact that what's going to happen in the next 5 years. If you look at the last 20 years, I mean, from the era of internet when it became the best, the big word, I mean, internet. We had the rise of Amazon, you have the rise of Facebook, you have the rise of Google, and the tail end was Twitter and then Netflix. All of them. I mean, there was a progressive journey of these people. I mean, we somehow knew that this is going to happen. And the business life cycle of the industry, I mean, I really want your opinions after this on this, was 8 to 10 years for a successful business model. I mean, once we know this model is working, it has a life cycle of at least 8 to 10 years, at least the 10-15% of the Fortune 500 companies. But now they're shortening up. I mean, even if it's just a successful model, if you look at it, the life cycle of a business model is not more than 3 years. We don't even know whether this will be the same again or not. And now come the era of post-COVID. I mean, COVID has not only jolted us physically, but it also has changed the definition of the business landscape. And if you look at the whole world has changed, it's not only work from home, it's not only remote working. It's that now the outlook of people have changed completely. Automation has become much a big thing. I mean, IT, which used to be a support function. I mean, in my era, if you look at it, in the business, IT is a support function. Unless you're an IT company, it's a support function. It can be as big as possible, still it's a support function. But today, the whole world of AI, the Web3, the data science, they are the front runner. Even in the area of FMCG or the retail, where it is impossible to think that the technology is the leading factor. It may not be the thing that way, but the world has changed. And if you look at the stock market, the Fortune 500 companies, the first number 10 companies are people who are investing more on tech. I mean, enormous is the greatest example. I mean, so with that premise, I think the way the business landscape is changing is something which I think the students, the parents, the teachers, the ecosystem people need to know exactly. Okay, these are the things which are changing up a lot. So with that, I want to start with Dr. Nihar here, because see, Dr. Nihar, you have been somebody who has seen the world from as an Indian, you have looked at from a global perspective. You have been in the international market, and you have also seen the business from the Indian perspective, and also from both small scale and family business. I mean, that's really the important crucial part. So, what is your outlook? I mean, what has changed in the last 10, 15 years as per you?
Thanks, Akhil. I think you have set the context very right over here. See, first thing, I'd like to pick up on your point wherein you said that, the business life cycle is getting shorter. It's, people are getting more profitable. But one thing we need to remember that whenever we are at the cusp of a technological revolution, it's the people who make the technology that make money fast. And then after a few years, it's the people who adopt that technology that make money fast. So we are, I think, at a stage right now wherein we are seeing that these companies which are in the, you can say the industry 5.0, those of the companies which are working on artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, data science. So these companies are right now, they are the new hope. Yes, the similar to what you said, what Google was or what Apple was a decade or two ago. So we are in a zone wherein we are not really sure how these companies will throw up opportunities for other businesses to pick and choose from. So that's one end of the equation. Technology companies are leading in terms of providing new hopes and new horizons in terms of how we can manage organizations and how we can do business. On the other hand, you see that we have a larger set of businesses which are trying to now understand that how is this new technology going to disrupt us? See, over the past decades, you can say over the past 4 or 5 decades, that it's not only the rate of disruption that has increased, it's the complexity of the technologies that are coming in that has increased. And you talked about the internet. I'll just like to give you a small summary of how disruptions have taken place over the years. See, any time in the last 100 years, whenever we have had a massive industrial revolution, it has always been based on technology. So technology is not something new for us. So if you see, when we had the assembly line, which was the first industrial revolution in many ways, it allowed us to produce goods faster, right? So that gave rise to a sort of a cycle of consumerism. You could get more products out into the market, and that demand supply equation changed than what it was 20 years before that. Then comes the steam engine, which now allows us to transport our goods at further distances than what we were able to do before. So on the first hand, you are producing more goods. In the second industrial revolution, you've got a technology now that allows you to transport goods over much larger distances. Then comes the internet. Now you can get the word of mouth of your product or your service to anyone, anywhere across the world. So if you see the first three technologies, the first three industrial revolutions are all working hand in hand with each other. One thing is reinforcing the other. And the reason why it is reinforcing it is, see, that's any invention or any new innovation comes from the understanding of a particular need. So if you produce a lot, okay, what do? You have a huge inventory. What are you going to do with it? So you got to send it over to other countries, find new markets, develop new markets. Then suddenly you realize that, okay, I have got the technology to reach these countries, but how am I going to market my products? So that then comes this internet technology, which allows us to do that. So if we keep this sequence in mind, what's happening now in terms of artificial intelligence is not really that, bigger question mark, because we expected it to happen in some way. We've been talking about big data, right, Akhil, for some time now. And for me, in very simplistic terms, artificial intelligence is an extension of big data, how we interpret big data. And the need for it was created because organizations, using advanced IT systems, what they started doing was they started collecting this huge amount of data which they did not know what to do with. Yes. So this data needs to inform your new product development, new market development, strategic decisions, all of that. And manually, it's going to take a lot of time for humans to sit together and do it and put a program together. It's going to take a lot of time. This thing needs to be automated. And that's where AI comes into the picture. So the disruptions have only increased in complexity, right? So that's point number one. Point number two is when you mentioned COVID. See, COVID really, threw up a big spanner in the works. Yes, it set a lot of countries backwards in terms of their development journeys. But it also helped us understand a few things. Now, you asked me about global versus Indian context. Okay, people talk about working from home or remote working. I mean, globally, it's an accepted practice, working from home. I remember I used to work for universities abroad. They never cared how many times I came to work. They just cared about whether I got the work done or not. But when I came to India, it was not like that. It was very much coming to office in the morning and doing your 9 to 5, if you like, and then, going back home. But while work from home and remote working became very fashionable during COVID, if you see, right now, it is a failed experiment. It's not working. At least in the Indian context, it is not working, right? At least I'm talking about certain jobs, yes, work from home works. It suits them. But for us, it did not work. That's one. Second, we came to know because of COVID how globalized a world we are. We've been talking about globalization for 30 years, but the how closely our supply chains were sort of tied. We came to know at that time because the moment COVID came, the global supply chains came to a halt, and we could not get access to goods, which we never knew, where they were coming from, and where the origins of these goods were. So companies now had to suddenly react and think that, okay, while global, certain, for example, if you're a semiconductor manufacturer, there are certain countries which always dominated that particular business, and the supply chains were very long because then, while automotive manufacturers were more localized, semiconductor manufacturers were more centralized. So people and businesses now started thinking that maybe over centralization is not good. We need to distribute our supply chains more evenly, and that's why you see new possibilities for semiconductor manufacturing happening in India. So that's the second lesson that came out of COVID, and the third is, I feel that people have started going towards instant gratification. When I say instant gratification, it's about right now, right here, right now. So, for example, you have a Blinkit which gives you goods in your kitchen in 10 minutes. I mean, talk about the luxuries of life, and people say that life is better abroad, but you don't get this service anywhere in the world except India, right? So instant gratification means I want it here and now. I want live TV, I want music on demand, I want videos on demand, I want groceries on demand, I want mechanics on demand to repair my car. And that is being made possible by digital businesses which we can't see in terms of a building or people, but these are people and huge organizations working behind their systems and doing excellent work. But it's a new business model. It's a completely new business model. So these are some of the changes that I have seen happen over the last 20 years, if you can say. And you're very right that what's to come, it is as good a guess as anyone's, that we really don't know. But what is very important at this point in time is that we really train ourselves in terms of what these new technologies are, and because it will be as important going forward. We had to learn how to use the internet. We have to learn how to use this technology. So I'll stop at that point.
It's a great point, Dr. Hina, great point. So, I mean, three things which I can take from your point is that first is you have also deliberated on the point that this complexity, the rate of complexity has increased with time, especially with more technology coming up. Also, we are very much told very rightly about that work from home may not have worked in India that much compared to global. So I think culture also matters a lot in terms of how your technologies are adopted. So with that, let me go to Dr. Rima. Dr. Rima, you are somebody unique in terms of somebody who has seen management from the business side and law side. Okay, and with that premise, what is your take in the last 5 to 6 years? You've seen because law is something which is least flexible. I'm sorry to say, but I mean least flexible in terms of other aspects. But that's also very crucial today for management. I mean, you need to know the regulation well. I mean, that's how it works. So what is your take in the last 5 6 years of the business landscape changes? Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So, Akhil, yes, clearly law is very rigid, and 5 to 6 years is like a second in legal dictionary. We don't even consider it as a time frame. But however, going back to where you set the context for last 20 to 30 years, how industry or the business landscape, which has been so dynamic, has changed. Last 20 to 30 years might not have seen as much change we have seen in the last 4 years, right? There are changes, but the last 4 years would be just be, if we would in the keyword that is going on these days, if you would like to call it as disruption. So last 4 years is what made us step out and look at the whole scenario from a third person's point of view. Also look inside. What do we really need? Right? And like Nihar said, that work from home has always been, it's very normal to have in UK or US, Canada, Australia, all of these places. Work from home is a given in some job profiles. However, it never worked for us. It really did not. Right? As the Indian business landscape, we thrive on community building. We thrive on culture, and it is only once we get into the office that the culture is made. Right? If I had to give an instance from my own working during the COVID, we were working online, the classes were online, everything was online. The amount of controversy or the amount of complexities between colleagues, they were at its peak at that time, because we were only chatting. We were not able to see the body language of the other person, how they're reacting, what's their reaction going to be. And it was such a learning for every one of us, because the meetings were no longer the same. Right? However, these disruptions are also something which gave us the opportunity to innovate, to look at newer ways of getting together. And I remember there was a time when it was compulsory to switch on the cameras, because we need to see each other. Right? And despite all of that, I think we were fine, we were agile, we were resilient, and we could sail through. The organizations which have adopted and adapted to the newer times, I think are the best employers in these times. Even now, they have sailed through and are on the other side of COVID. And I think my biggest learning for the last 4 years has been that if you are open to change, you're on the right track, because we don't know what is there in the future. So I think change is something which is permanent.
A very good man. The way you have said that we should, we were agile, we were moving forward, we were more flexible, and my next question exactly was that, which you have already answered me. That with these disruptions which are happening so complexly, somehow, what is the frame of the future leadership looks like? So I think you have already said the premise for me that the first foremost thing is you should be very agile. I mean, the point is because when you say that the meetings no longer look the same when it was online, it also shows that how it was difficult for us to adopt to the new age of working. I mean, new ways of working. Because COVID just happened. It was not like it gave us a preparation time. It just happened. And the way we were doing the meeting, we were doing the classroom, the hurdles. But it also somehow made us adapt it at the earliest. I mean, if you look at the Indian landscape, we were the first to adapt it at the earliest. And same goes to digital payment before that. I mean, when demonetization happened, we are the only country which has the largest digital payment system. I mean, the first to start in CBDC, that's central bank digital currency, blockchain, and all, and we were the first to adopt it. With that, I think also we are the best market in terms of the new age leaders. I mean, because we are the first to adapt most of the market technologies. To be very frank, I mean, if you look at the other worlds, they're all investing in India. Okay, so with that, let me put this point is, I think Dr. Nihal, you already discussed about what the challenges are, but I think now let's put the frame. What is your view of the future leader looks like? What is the frame of the management leader look like for the next 4 or 5 years? What kind of leadership you're expecting?
That's a very good question, Akhil. So, management education has always focused on creating people who make decisions. So you are not just going to be a thinker, but you have to be a doer. Correct. And I very much agree with what Dr. Rima said, that agility, adaptability, these have been the traits of successful leaders in recent times. I think I'll talk about it in terms of how the new management education should focus on developing the leaders of tomorrow. So one thing I would like to say is that, look, mundane tasks that organizations do are going to get automated. Correct? We are already seeing that simple things like email writing, report writing, to a large extent can be done using technology today. Correct. So now what happens is there is a threat that more, I won't say accounting is a mundane job, that would be sacrilege, but I would say that, certain tasks which are repetitive in nature, which have a very, set process will get automated. So now you think about a management graduate, what is he or she supposed to do there? Well, then what it creates is an opportunity for a person to become useful in terms of what new value are you adding. So that's the first thing that companies are going to ask us, management institutes, that are you creating people who just know a lot of stuff which anyways can be found on Google, or are you creating people who can think outside the box, who can think critically, who can solve problems as they come, who can be resilient in the sense not give up easily, who can be open to change, who can live with that ambiguity that the change brings. These are the qualities of leaders of tomorrow. Because we've just been talking about that it's more of a black box. We don't know what's in store for us. So the leader needs to be open-minded, somebody who is more process-oriented rather than goal-oriented, and he should be able to change himself or herself and also motivate and drive teams to change. So that means that you need to create a more collaborative mindset. You need to have people in your team who are continuous learners, people who do not challenge each other's opinions, but rather celebrate curiosity, and question the norms. Because see, when you're curious, that's when knowledge is extended, and that's what new age management education should be all about. Because see, if we are heading into a more automated, robotized, machinized, world, then what qualities become important? It's the human qualities that become important. So empathy, emotional intelligence, stewardship, these are the traits that business schools should be focusing on developing. That, we are going to create a group of people who as individuals are ready for what's to come. Because as far as information is concerned, technology is helping us get information at the click of a finger. So that information overload should stop in the classroom. That it is not about giving a lot of content for people to just mug up and regurgitate, that should stop. Rather, we should encourage pedagogies in management schools which enable the person to think, which does not when the moment that person faces a problem, they don't sink into their seat. They should be excited about it. So a thing like failure, something, it's a word that we don't like to associate with in most B schools, but it's okay to fail, and as long as you learn from it and work towards something better. So these qualities, I think these qualities of creativity, curiosity, resilience, problem solving, dealing with failure and moving on, these are qualities which are going to be much more important when it comes to management education, rather than what content we teach them.
So I think, Dr. Nihal, let me put your point this way. The first, you have set a premise on exactly what kind of management education should be to prepare the future leaders. So with that, Dr. Nihal, let me ask this question to you. He has already set the premise of exactly what kind of management education ecosystem should be there. Now let me take an answer from your side that from a management faculty perspective, from the perspective from the classroom, what are the changes which you feel is required for the next future leaders to be prepared with the premise which Dr. Ni has already set up?
Right. So Akhil, I think in India, maybe it was the 90s when we saw the boom in the MBA, right? In the MBA education or management education. And that is where, everybody wanted to be a manager. But there was always, if you remember, there was a dialogue on whether management is a profession or not, and whether we define it as a profession. Because there are times when we know doctor is a profession, we know law is a profession, we know architect and a chartered accountant are professionals, and and they have a set role to play once they get into the profession. You are this and this is what you're going to do. But when we look at management education, it is such an interdisciplinary thing that it picks up from, various different schools, and then you have this beautiful portfolio of things that when you get in as a manager, this is what you're going to be doing, right? And you cannot say specifically. However, over the last 20 years, we have, developed various pathways. Okay, this is, you go towards the marketing side, you go towards the finance side, operations, or, human resources and OB. However, management continues to draw from various different subjects, like, maybe psychology or even communication. Like Nihar just mentioned, that soft skills is very important, and that is where, the part of communication comes into play, verbal and non-verbal both, right? However, as a faculty, and I have seen especially in the last 7 years or so, I have seen that when we interact with the industry is presuming a basic benchmark, that this is what so the student will know the 4 P's of marketing, that they know, that they assume that they are going to know. It is the edge over and above that they're expecting our student to know. And this is the edge where innovation, inclusion, diversity, ethics, uh, integrating technology into the 4 P's. This is the edge that the organization is looking for. And it's not that our students will have that skill already. No. What we are trying to put into our students is we are trying to train their minds to think in a particular manner. It is the change in the mindset. So our students will know all of this, the basic education they will have, because that is through the lectures that we make sure they have. But however, at the same time, we are training their mind to think in a manner which is problem solving. They get into a place, they see this is an issue, and problem solving is the first thing that comes to them, right? And this, I think, has also reflected in the faculty pedagogy in the classroom itself. Especially case study teaching methodology is one of those. And if I had to get into a negotiation, and we do these role plays for negotiations, and this is where the mindset is that now we are training our students to think in a certain manner. We will tell you what the theory is, we'll tell you what the concepts are. It is the critical thinking, that how you're going to put those concepts and theories into practice is what will give the students an edge once they're out in the market, they're working as freshers, of course. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So just to the audience, because that is also distracting me. So the audience who are pinging in YouTube live for all the questions and answers. Once the session is over, we will be sending you an email on the caption. You can send all the questions in that. So when we are doing the conversation, a lot of things happening around. So anyways, just to rest aside, so let me shift gears here. Rima ma'am, you have already given the contest, right? So we have two pillars in management education for IIM. Now let me go to the IIM redesign platform, exactly how we are redesigning the management education. So we have two portfolios. So first is the BBA, where we are nurturing the leadership from the undergrad, and there is another is MBA, where we are trying to nurture the PG students, people who already have certain experience and who are of the early 20s. And these are the two baskets on which we are working for. So I'll start with Dreamam, then I'll go for Dr. Mihar in this. Remember, what are the programs we have, first of all, in terms of the MBA, and how these programs are differentiating? What is the main uniqueness of these programs? If you can just highlight slightly on this.
Sure. So at IIM, we have the IIM Graduate School of Management, which takes care of our postgraduate programs. So I will start with our flagship program, which is the MBA, the Masters in Business Administration. So we have a master's program, and we provide pathways, which is in the other normal keyword, if I have to say, the specialization that we give. So we have marketing, we have finance, we have HR and OB, and then we have operations and data analytics. This is also a format which is being followed by the best B schools in India and across, and we plan to stick to this. And one very unique thing about ILM at the management program is that we follow a trimester system, which 2-3 things it gives us, and does not give time to the student. That is, what it gives us is it helps us put in more subjects for them to experience and expose themselves to. And at the same time, because the number of subjects are more every trimester, we also get time to call in the industry people and have the students interact with them from the first year itself. We don't wait for electives, we don't wait for second year, we don't wait for internships to start. it is from the word go that you will be interacting with industry first day itself. The second thing that we do is we concentrate on our training in the sense of soft skills very early. We understand that so MBA group is a PG group, which is a very interesting mix of students coming from all over India and all over courses. So there'll be commerce, there'll be humanities, there'll be STEM students, all kind of students will be there in a class, which means it is a very diverse group, right? But we have to train them for a particular industry that they're going to, or just the business world, if I have to have a broad name for it. So we want to start that training from the word go. And it takes also, if you'll be surprised to know, it takes us almost a trimester to get them on the same plane. So the first quarter just goes to get them on the same plane, and then we start working on them, because it will take us that much time to recognize the students. We recognize what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are, and then we work together with them. Another very interesting thing at IIM is our mentoring program, which means from as soon as you have admission offer with you, you will have a mentor assigned to you. And that mentor and you can start interacting from the day you have admission. It's not necessary that you have already started classes, because we already have some admissions with us right now and we have allotted them mentors. So even if you have 6 months to start the course, you are in touch with your faculties, you are in touch with them that what is going to be happening, how is the experience, life at IIM, and how your MBA for the next 2 years is going to be looked at. So this hand holding, I think, gives the much needed edge and the confidence to the student that, okay, I'm not just being thrown into some pool for 2 years, and then I have to fend for myself and then come victorious on the other side. It is not like that. And we are with you for the 2 years, understanding your aspirations, understanding what would be the best for you, in case, because it's okay to be confused at this time, and most students are, even if it's a PG program. We are fine with your confusion, and you will see, and I have seen like a 180-degree shift in students' personalities in the 1 year that they are with us. Within the 1 year, you will see them more groomed, more confident. They know what they want. If they don't know what they want, at least by the end of the internship, they know what they don't want, which is also an important thing to know, that this is what I don't want to do, right? So these couple of these things, I think, is what makes our MBA program slightly different. And the other MBA program, which I will have Dr. Nihar speak on, is our program that we're launching this year, is the MBA in Management Technology. Over to you, Nihar.
So before I get to Dr. Nihar, two things I want you to highlight, for this for the parents and students here. That what is the main principal redesign of MBA program you are doing it? Because ma'am has already set the context in terms of exactly the curriculum way and how the things are. But what the principal intention of redesign of the MBA program? And if you can focus on the new program, which is management technology, that would be really good for the students. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, so okay, the new program is mainly a departure from the traditional paradigm of management education. And I'm glad to say that I've sort of experimented with it over the last 10 years or so, abroad and in here. And it started off by having this closed conversations with industry and really asking them that, look, be honest, when you hire talent from business schools, do you really get what you need, and what are the gaps? And one consistent aspect that was highlighted over the last 8 to 10 years that I've been interacting with the industry is that they are good, but when it comes to understanding of technology, there is more to ask. So it was very confusing for me at the very beginning that I said, you're hiring an MBA graduate, and then you're asking him or her to be comfortable, or sort of be an expert in technology. How does that work? So I said, those two different things. But slowly, when you look at what's happening in the business environment, you will see that management as a field and technology as a field is increasingly converging. You know, I mean, you see most of the businesses today are tech-based businesses. You know, they are either digital business models or they use technology in a big way, right? Right from manufacturing to e-commerce, everything, you know, is impacted by technology. So I somehow started to then learn that, okay, if we do incorporate some technology-based courses in the program, how do we do it, and what's the right balance? And who should be the people coming into these courses? And that's where the research started. So we almost used a design thinking method. You know, we started going out to recruiters, we started going to industry forums, we started going to alumni, and we started asking them questions about what's stopping that career growth, or what's the gap do you think in terms of skill that exists. And that is when we came to know that things like analytics, so business analytics, things like how managers can use AI, how, for example, you can use automation in terms of accounting and auditing. These aspects started coming to fore. And what we started to recognize was that what industry needs are managers who can help them integrate technology into their business functions. So if you ask me for an example, I did my MBA, long back, and at that time, the only thing that was even remotely close to technology was digital marketing, and that's the time you sat in front of a computer, or if you were doing like a Bloomberg's financial lab qualification, that's the time you sat in front of a computer. But I think that's not what the graduates of tomorrow will need to be able to do. They should be able to sit, they should be able to be comfortable in Tableau, Power BI, R, Python. And that means that you need to know mathematics, you need to know statistics, and that needs a certain kind of qualification. So the new program is designed specifically for people from STEM background, so science, technology, engineering, maths. So if you have a BSc mathematics, if you have a B architecture, if you have a B farm, if you're a doctor with an MBBS, or if you're BE, BTech, then we really appreciate you applying for this program because it is a completely redrawn curriculum. So if I just give you an example, the technology courses go hand in hand with the management courses. So for example, while you're studying business environment, you're also studying business modeling with spreadsheets. While you're studying accounting for managers, you're also studying fintech. While you're studying, managing people and change, you're also studying design thinking and innovation. And then we have also seen that, how is it we can make this particular program more interesting. So one way we did it was a lot of the teaching is going to be done by practitioners, So even in the course, even within a course, we will have more visiting faculty who are industry experts coming in and talking to you. Secondly, a lot of the training will be done in labs. Correct. So, for example, if you're talking about AI for managers, or if you're talking about predictive modeling, we cannot teach that subject in a classroom. It needs to be hands-on. It needs to be done in a proper lab, right? And the third thing is we have a very interesting, a built-in aspect of either you do an internship or you can get attached to our incubator and you can start working on a business idea. So what happens is you are studying management courses alongside these technology courses. And while you're developing your managerial skills, you're also building upon your previous STEM background, you're developing new technology capabilities. So suddenly you are a very niche product in the market. And when the recruiter comes and sees that, okay, this person is as adept to managing people as much as they are in terms of, running Python code, that's it. It's spot on for them. So because they need people who can come in and help organizations understand how to bring in technology, what technology to bring in, and how to sort of integrate it into the existing processes. All of that. I think that's where the new program is positioned. It's a new possibility. It's heavily researched to see how and to get the balance right. So we have big hopes from this program, and that's what the management technology MBA is all about.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ihan. I think You both have really set the contest right in terms of what the principle of,
Yeah.
like Dr. Rima has already discussed about how the curriculum will be designed and how we are taking the students inside the campus. And you have really set the contest right in terms of the principle really
But
being
one
management.
thing we have not really talked about is how we are doing it in the undergraduate business school, right? So while the talk has till now focused on postgraduate programs and how management education has changed, but I would really like to know more about how the undergraduate business school is approaching this particular conundrum. What are you doing that's different from anybody else out there?
So thanks so much, sir. What is different for PB? So let me set the contest right. So the contest is, see, the person who's coming out of 12th. Okay, I always believe that the people who are from 18 to 22 are the people who have the most energy. I mean, they are the people who will do anything. The energy is so much they have. Okay, the point is they are some of them. I mean, they are people who are actually more of a practical managers in the sense they like more applied way of learning. I mean, that's the main thing. I mean, the same 18 to 22 is also engineers if you look at it. So if you look at the BBA, we have slightly redesigned it to be more applied in a sense that now you have management principles exactly like what you have in MBA. You have HR, you have finance, you have strategy, and you have basic management core principles. But we have also made sure that with that, you have also tie up with startups. In the sense, you have a regular internship, which is going to happen like any other university you have. But we have discussed with at least more than 10 to 15 startups. What they are doing is they will, from second year onwards, the students will be tied up with them. So they will be first working with them as a team member of those startups. So you're applying those management principles in the startup premise, and you have a faculty mentor who is guiding them. I mean, that's a cross feedback way of learning. I mean, in the sense you're learning from practice and also for the faculty, because the point is they all it's a symbiotic relationship. And at the startup gets stuff. So the real world experience we want to give for the next 3 years for the student. And apart from that, if you look at our program, so we have a BBA in artificial intelligence, we have BBA in international business, we have BBA supply chain operations, we have BBA gender, which is marketing, finance, HR, etc. And we are also giving BBA in business analytics, and the new program which is management technology. What is the premise differentiator between them? If you look at the operation supply chain, and there's a new program called aviation operation, that's purely industry specific. So we are not only applying it to the startup, but we also make sure this industry, they can understand the industry core principles very well, what is happening in the operation of this industry. The reason is for an MBA, we are trying to cultivate a product manager. For a BBA, the intention is operational manager. I mean, because that they are the first core pillar of most of the industry value chain. So that's what the intention behind it. So for that to understand, there are three very important parts we have taken into consideration. First, obviously, we have the best-in-class faculties who are trying to tell the theoretical part of it, connecting the dots. The second thing is we have industry mentorship, which Dr. Nihal, I also want you to add to that. That we are also connecting more and more industry into this picture into the classroom. So we have a co-teaching mechanism in which the best in the industry also have a voice. So we have a leadership series. I mean, which is happening every month, and all the audience here who was saying, please check the ILM channel. We have a leadership series which is open for all. I mean, we are not only looking at for the classroom, but we are discussing in the public forum as well. Apart from that, we're also making sure that incubation support is not inclusive for the people for the students that they are going to have this startup, but we are also making outside startups to also come in picture. So they have a more wide range of experience for a BBA student. I mean, by the time they will be in third year, you have not one internship, you may have 5 or 6 internships. So it's all up to you how much you are trying to work. I mean, that's your energy level, how much you do. And that's how we are building the whole thing. The last but not the least is the new two programs which have come out, which I want to specifically mention for. One is the management technology. So what Dr. Nihar has said, I think nothing more to add to it, but just to add to the point that it's a 3 year program, 3 to 4 year program. So we have, because of NEP, we have 3 year and 4 year honors. So in management technology, there are three baskets. We have Web3, data science, and AI. The student can have a pathway in all the three. So it just means that basically he or she will be learning in all the three. but they will do major in any of the one basket, either the Web3, either the data science, or the AI. And predominantly, the startup experience also will be in any of the three baskets. So by the time they are coming out as a BBA, they are completely into any. I can challenge it. I'm telling you in front of anyone that you tell me a design of this BBA which is happening across. So that's something which is making us completely unique. So that they are really prepared for the industry. Because as you said, Dr. Neha, very rightly, when we took the industry feedback, they always said that we need industry prepared candidates. That's the most crucial part. Once that is done, rest is our job. So that's what we are inculcating inside the BBA curriculum for ourselves.
No, you're very right, and I think when you talk about industry engagement, I mean, a lot of universities talk about industry engagement, and it needs to be highlighted that industry engagement is not just about inviting a speaker once in a while, and they come and talk about a particular topic and they go away. But when how we look at it in our school, including you, Akhil, and Dr. Rima, is that we try to see how they can be integrated into the curriculum. So, for example, we set a thing that minimum, at least 1 to 2 sessions out of every course should be done by industry people. So, core topics will be taught by them. Secondly, bringing in more live projects, correct? So live projects and making that as a part of the assessment. So rather than writing something more random, you are actually training to solve business issues during while you're learning a particular course. The other way of doing it is, we are talking about this consulting challenge now, right? So there are so many micro businesses, small businesses around us, that are in dire need of help. So rather than me making you sit in a class and telling you how to do market research, if I can teach you that while you also work with that small business to do some market research for them, I mean, that's the best way to do it, correct? And so that's the way we are integrating the industry, right from setting up the curriculum to delivering the curriculum. I think the industry is playing more and more prominent role in terms of our classroom engagement and outside the classroom engagement. And the last thing I would like to say is that we are also quite forward. We've been talking about technology a lot, but it's not just technology that we are giving a lot of prominence to, but things like what Dr. Rima said, ethics. People training people on business ethics, technology ethics, training people on ESG and sustainability. That is something that we equally put our emphasis on. So, for example, we are one of the signatories for the PRME, which is the Principle, of Responsible Management Education, and we are holding this wonderful conference in February. And so we are quite forward thinking in that way. We know what are the needs of not just businesses, but we also know the needs of the society. So when you say what makes an ILM student stand apart from anybody else, is I would like to just close it by saying that that person will be more well-rounded. They will know not just how to work in an organization, but they will know the impact the organization is having in society. They will be more community centered. They will be more holistic in terms of their awareness of public policy, global affairs. They'll be much more cognizant of the India story and what we were as a nation, and now where we are and where we want to go as a nation, and being a part of that India story, and being a part of that. So it is about making the student aware that there are some things bigger than individuals. We as individuals want to be more successful, we want to earn money, and that's what traditional MBA mindset is all about. But this is about being a part of nation building, and this is about being a part of this exciting 10-15 year period that we have ahead of us in India.
Great, thanks, Dr. Neha. So, any last words, Dr. Neha, before I conclude? Anything you want to say to the students?
Just to follow up with what Nihar has just said very beautifully. So our students will be leaders for sure, managers who will lead organizations, but they will be the one who will be understanding the need for emotional intelligence, be inclusive in their functioning. They will be leaders who will bring empathy and compassion to the table, and not just, we understand business is about numbers, but it is no longer that. Uh, and it has now become like a circle that if you do not bring all of this to the table as leaders, you are not able to influence. And I think if that power is not available with the leaders, then I don't think that person is a successful leader. So yes, I think once our students pass out of our portals, this is what we give them.
Thanks so much, Dr. Rima, and thanks so much, Dr. Neha. So before for the concluding remark, I think we have really set the contest right. I mean, if the students have seen it, I mean, they might be excited already because we have really set the contest of the business, exactly how the business item has changed. And Dr. Nihar, you have really set the contest in terms of the complexities of the technology which are coming up, the cultural issues. Dr. Rima has really stressed upon the ethics, the agility, the empathy part, which is a very crucial part of the whole new leadership management looks like. And apart from that, we've also discussed about how the MBA and BBA is currently redesigned for the new age, new age leaders who are going to come. I mean, we have set the contest so well in terms of exactly what the future looks like. With this, I want to conclude this particular webinar. Thanks, Dr. Nihan. Thanks, Dr. Rima, for this particular conversation, and all the audience here. We will be streaming soon this particular conversation in Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. You will get the link soon. And any doubts you have in the caption, we'll be sending you the LinkedIn link of the profile of each dean and also the email ID where you can have your queries. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much to all of
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you.
Akhil. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Bye. Pleasure.